And by having this the theoretical framework before it, in my research I took the conceptual framework into the simplicity of the independent variable is food choice, and then the dependent variable is nutritional status. But along the way of the food choice influencing the nutritional status, there's one of the factor that can be also influenced to finally having an individual having a nutritional status, which is the food or consumption pattern. But in this research, we don't carry this variable. So for the operational definition and objective criteria, the first one is nutritional status. And the parameter that we use is health and microtoys using the anthropometry method. And the objective criteria is the first is thinness, which has the -3 over to standard deviation, and so yeah, as it has been seen in the screen. The next one is parameter is included into 3 food characteristic, individual characteristic, environment related to cover research. We don't have the objective criteria. Next ones for the research design, it is the descriptive quantitative, and it will be conducted in Senior High School 16 Makassar in April to May 2023. The population is of this research is the 10 and 11 grade student of Senior High School 16 Makassar, that consists 358 men and 466 women, in total 824 students. We don't take the 12th grade due to the academic schedule, and we don't have a permission from the schools to make them as our population. And for the inclusion criteria, the student is aged between 15 to 17. The student has been enrolled and participating in the school for at least 6 months. The student is willing to be respondent. The student is willing to follow the course of the research. And for the exclusion criteria, the student with chronic disease and the student with disabilities. For the sample size itself, I used the Slovene formula, and the final sample size is 184, which from the 184, I using the technique sampling of proportionate stratified random sampling because it has several types of subpopulation. The first one is women in 10 grad students. From the total of 239, the sample size is 48, and from the subpopulation women at 11 grade, from the total 227, the sample size is 45, and for the men in 10 grade, from the total 198, the sample size is 39, and from the subpopulation men in the 11th grade, from the total 160, the sample size is 32, and the total of sample size is 164. And for the research instrument, I use the food choice questionnaire to measure what is the preference of food choice, and then to measure the nutritional status, I use the scales and also the microtoys, and to for the data, I use the SPSS. And for the data types and resource, I gain it from primary data and also the secondary data. And for the data analysis itself, it will be using the univariate analysis to giving the descriptions of the variable, that including food choice factors and also the nutritional status. And the last one is the data will be presented through table followed by explanation. I think that is all from my presentation regarding to my research proposal. Thank you so much. I'd like to give it back to moderator.
Baik, terima kasih atas presentasi yang telah dilakukan oleh Saudari Nurul Inayah.
Selanjutnya kita akan masuk ke sesi tanya jawab kepada teman-teman
peserta hadirin yang ingin bertanya. Dipersilakan. Ya, kepada Saudara Elvira.
Baik, terkait lokasi yang apa memilih.
Baik, terima kasih atas pertanyaannya. Kepada teman-teman ataupun hadirin sekalian yang masih ingin bertanya, kami persilakan. Silakan.
Pertanyaan saya terkait bagian latar belakang kan tadi menampilkan gambaran distribusi karena di Yogyakarta dan Surabaya. Nah, itu kenapa dijadikan sebagai salah satu acuan data dalam penelitian?
Terima kasih atas pertanyaannya. Kepada peserta lainnya yang ingin menanyakan terkait dengan presentasi Saudari Nurul Inayah, kami persilakan. Apabila sudah tidak ada pertanyaan lagi, kami akan kembalikan pada Saudari Inayah.
Thank you so much for the question. I would like to answer the first question from Elvira regarding to why do I choose Senior High School 16 Makassar as my location for this research. It is because by the consideration of its location, the Senior High School 16 Makassar is located in the center of Makassar city, which it can help one of the variable factors of the accessibility. So I hope that by choosing the school that's located in the center of Makassar, that we can see how actually the accessibility can influence the student or the adolescents to choose what kind of food that they want to eat or buy. Besides that, the population of the student in Senior High School 16 Makassar is also balanced between men and women, which can give us more a good representative between boys and women regarding to their food choice. And for the second question, since this is actually such quite bit rare research that has been conducted in Indonesia, so that two research is really one of the things that could help me to interpret or to making a step if I also wanted to conducting and as the same research method in Makassar.
Baik, itulah jawaban dari Saudari Nanda kepada Saudari Dewi dan Saudari. Bila sudah tidak bisa, kami akan melakukan kepada
Okay, thanks for the opportunity. Congratulations, Naya, for your research proposals. I think it's good, yeah. I just have one thing, two, not question actually, yeah, but
Suggestion.
consideration maybe. First, you mentioned about study in Surabaya and Yogyakarta. Yeah, it's good to make a comparison, yeah. But maybe you have to also to say more detail about the location of their studies, yeah, the characteristic of subject actually, yeah, the characteristic whether they combine village and urban and rural areas, for example, the range of their age of the adolescents, yeah, the comparison between male and female, boys and girls, yeah. So maybe we have to consider it first, so then we can compare. Yeah. That's the first one. The second one, I think it's also better that if you can compare with study from international. Uh, I've read one article about food choice, food choices, yeah, choice. And they say uh, up of from 13 uh, reasons for the choice of the other. But this is talking about all the community. Yeah. I don't know exactly. I think it's really total population, not only for the adolescents. And they mentioned that the first one, why they choose this one, is because they like it.
Mm.
And then the second one, like for example, it's from the economical reason, yeah, from the simple reason, even from their belief, including the religion. Actually. And the end of it, you know what? Nutritional factors.
Oh.
So it's like a good information to tell us that no, nutrition is the last reason, the last factors for the, for example, yeah, for example, the adolescent choose the meal, the food. Yeah. And it also become one uh, one reference. You can take it or you can apa, refer. And also, I think there's some, maybe many articles talking about food choice. Yeah, choice. Nah, and I think, yeah, uh, I also has some, I'm not ideas, yeah, but also there is one indicator, one variable talking about food preference. Yeah, beside food choice. Yeah. So, for example, you can ask them, please tell me the first, the top five food you prefer. Okay, and we take we tell you whatever, yeah, but they like it. I like bakso. Nih, just five, ya. So they make apa urutannya, ya. And ask them also, please tell me five food you don't like at all, or you really don't like. So we'll see the differences, yeah, among among subjects. For example, like, I think because also you don't want to compare or to see the relationship between food choice and cultural status. Yeah? I really don't like it. I really feel like many people have been done. Many research have been done about nutritional status of the adolescents, girls or boys in the SMA. So you don't have to, but I think but if you would like to measure for that, it's okay. But I think measurement maybe still be improved. Like for example, usually people only measure for their height and weight. Yeah, and maybe you want to do a little bit further. Yeah, for example, but I don't know if you want to. They allow you to use a BI, for example, or maybe like using scalper. Yeah, skinful measurement, for example. Might be that's more advanced, yeah, in spite of it's like
Anthropometrical.
and can come out with hmm the status with wasting time, etc. But I think more advanced, yeah. But if you because also you don't want to see the relationship, right? But just to describe it. Then you are you only alone For this study, or you have another
I'm
student?
I'm the only one who who take in charge for this research. But in this school, there's 3 students of nutrition that also conduct the research here, even though we have different focus of research.
But the subject still adolescents.
The subjects is for me as adolescents of men and girl, but the 2 of my teammates is only focusing for the girls because they have do the research for the anemia.
Both of them anemia, ya. Some girls. But I think as long as you have like you also need the at least nutritional status based on yeah. What else? Yeah. Please find out the international articles, yeah, about choice. Yeah. And so many things, so many articles about that. But maybe just look at in the same criteria of subject, example the age, period, yeah. As yeah, and also please make comparison, or please read detail about the study in Yogyakarta and Surabaya so far, and compare them with the research, or you have something more, another, or you add some variables or some ideas uh, compared to this one. That's it. Congratulations.
Thank you, Prof.
Baik, terima kasih pada kita.
Kasih. Dan first thing first, I would like to say congratulations ya for Inaya. Selamat sudah sampai di tahap and I that it's not easy to make such a proposal like this. It's written in English, yeah. And then you spend a lot of time to write it in English, and I can see your passion in your draft, yeah. But of course, there will always area for improvement, yeah. And I would like to clarify some things. The first thing I would like to clarify is in your variable, you have variable with choices, and then but you don't have any objective criteria. How do you think that how is your plan? What the data will turn out? I would like to know that.
Thank you so much, Ibu. So, as it's seen that the title of this research itself is the overview of food choice factors. Therefore, why I don't put the objective criteria is because we like to purely see what is actually the most.
I mean, like I would like to know how will you analyze the data? Like, will it turn out like which factor is more affected the adolescents? Misalnya, faktor mana sih yang paling tinggi skornya? Atau misalnya faktor mana sih yang paling um, paling banyak dipilih seperti itu? Saya mau tahu kayak mana sih datanya nanti keluarnya. I mean, like you should start to think about it. Start from now. Start from the development of your proposal.
Okay, so as it's seen in my food choice questionnaire, I choose the linker method to choose the preference or the score that the student would like to give for the most common factor that could influence them to choose. So there's a score from 1 to 3, from 1 to 5 that representing 1 is sangat tidak penting, 2 tidak penting, 3 netral, 4 penting, 5 sangat penting. And the final of this research, by they are filling the food choice, the highest score of the factors will be represent as the most influence food choice factors, and the least score for the scores will be the least influencing factors for the adolescents. But these questionnaires is all actually combined with several sub factors, such as like for the question number 1 to number 4, it's representing the sensory. Number 5 to number 6 is representing perceptual. Number 7 to number 13 representing the information of the food. The finals data, it's not going to mention only like representing the first choice, the first question, but it's representing the whole sub factors of the food choice. So to identify what is the most influence is by seeing the highest score of each of the factors, sub-factors.
Yeah, that's the one that you should also put it in your proposal, yeah. Because like I don't know which question is represent the characteristic, which one is represent the visual characteristic and others, yeah. So you should mention that in your method, that the questionnaire that you use it's food choice questionnaire, and that it consists of some blah 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 questions, and question blah 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 represent the characteristic and others, yeah. And of course, I think it's also should be mentioned in the objective criteria, yeah. And mention that you have the variable is food choice, and then the objective criteria, and then you can mention, you will mention it with the score, like you can mention, you will look at the which score is the highest and then which score is the lowest, yeah. But still put it in your objective criteria. Then, so you got this questionnaire from
I combine it with between the research they conducted in Surabaya, Yogyakarta, and Jakarta.
have you tried it?
Yes, we have tried a week ago in senior high school 16, but using the 12th grade students.
And then what is your result after trying it?
Actually, what we analyzed from the 40 students that we do test for the questionnaire, there are several students that took it seriously, but also there are also several students that just feel it milih saja, netral semuanya.
Yeah, because it's a lot of questions here. I
Yeah.
think maybe it's good to like see again the question and then pick the one that's really important, because there are 55 questions here, and then when the docents like feel tired to fill the question, and they will just put neutral, or just fill 5 without really read the question, right? So I think it might be good to really look which one is really which one is really like which one is really common that it's chosen by the adolescent, and which one is like they never choose. Then for the for the other, I think it's more of the writing style. Yes. The first thing, I think the most common terms that I saw in journal, they put it not food choice factors, but food choice motives. Yeah, I think use that term. So maybe it's also good to change that term. Yeah. Or I saw a lot of paper also use factors affecting choice like that, or food choice motives. And I think it's also later it will be good if you see analyze if we see the difference between men and women, male and female. Yeah, there's a lot of paper like that. Um, they mentioned that there is a difference between male and female in terms of the choices. Like, because female most likely to think about health, while male usually less likely about health. Then maybe also you need to if you also will like to add some questions for your characteristic of respondents, like their parents' job or their parents' education, so that we can also get insight about their social-economic status. The social economic status also will influence their choice factor. If you read a paper, I think that paper from Jakarta, the Maulida, the Maulida, they separate the result from less affluent family and then and there's a difference for the choice motive. In terms of writing, I think in page 4, it's better that it's better to not to talk much about cashless society, but more emphasize on how cashless society will influence our food choice factor, and then how to make food purchase easier. So I think also want to make the transition smoother in page 5. From the food choice factor to talk about adolescence. Here you likely talk about adolescence after you talk about choice motives. But I think to make the transition smoother, you can talk about how food choice motives can affect nutritional status. Because we haven't talked much about nutritional status here. What about the problem, nutritional problem about adolescents?
Actually, I don't put it a lot because I only pick the representative of several studies that are showing that there's 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 a there's a significant factors between food pattern to to nutritional status, because by how I have been do the research, I don't find any journal that directly link between food choice to nutritional status. So I need to see from food choice to nutritional to food pattern to nutritional status. So it's actually quite a bit hard for me to link both of them, because there's I don't find any research that talk about that or explaining about it, or maybe I just haven't found it yet. Therefore, I don't mention a lot about nutritional status, but more showing the link between food choice to food pattern to.
I think still, you can put how big is the nutritional problem in adolescents. Like how obesity have been increased among adolescents in the past 10 years, along with the improvement of society status and also improvement of living condition and also development of technological information. So you can make the relation from that. What you would like to highlight is that food choice factor and affect an impact to their obesity.
It can actually both. Any nutritional
just,
status.
I think maybe if you don't want to emphasize on obesity, you can also emphasize on dual burden. Burden. Because at first I thought that you would like to emphasize on obesity because what you highlight is how food purchase is easier nowadays along with the development of I think it also to put about anthropometric measurement in your literature review, okay, so that you can remember again how to do it correctly, right? And how to minimize the error. Then for anthropometric status, I think it's better to make it more operational in your concept, in your operational definition. And here is very definisinya textbook banget. Yang maksudnya ini kan yang kamu masuk the one that you mean by adult is a nutritional status is anthropometric, right? Yes. Yeah, but you still mention biochemical, clinical, and dietary indicators while you not measure it, right? Yes. So just mention anthropometric and what kind of anthropometric you would like to use. Yeah. So you will use what?
Scales and microtoys.
And then I mean like what indicator will you use?
Using the Kemenkes tahun 2020
And one?
IMT per.
Yeah, this is much better. They already enrolled in school for at least 6 months. Why 6 months?
Because what I have been read before is for people to change their habit, it takes 21 days. And by the 6 month, it's going to be a lifestyle for them. So if I took the sample from the people who just moved to senior high school system Makassar for around like 2 months or 3 months, it hasn't been representing that their food choice is influencing by how the school that they are enrolled to. So therefore, I took 6 months. So ensure that how they have how the factors of their food choice uh, has been including the school itself as their accessibility.
Is there any question in your listener that you said that you would like to also explore how the school environment affect their food choices. But is there any question in your questionnaire that that address that aspect school environment?
Actually, there's no specific that directing to the school itself, but it's more directing to the social environment from the question 14 to the question 24. It is like makanan biasanya adalah peneman saya saat bersama-sama teman-teman. Maka saya makan lebih banyak apabila saya bersama dengan seseorang. Sangat penting saya untuk makan yang mirip pada saat saya kecil. Kemudian ada juga yang misalkan mereka makan ketika hanya pada saat mereka bersama.
It's actually not really directly talk about school environment.
Yes.
If you would like to like specifically mention about school environment, then I think you need to sub-question about school environment. But if not, maybe just include anyone. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And then I think you also need to be very careful with the translation. Sometimes it's sometimes you would like to like translate it words by words, yeah. But sometimes it's not really easy to understand like this peneman. I was like, what is peneman? Maksudnya saya makanan adalah sesuatu yang menemani saya, apa namanya? Saya suka makan bersama teman dan keluarga begitu. Atau ketika saya bersama teman dan keluarga, saya suka makan gitu ya maksudnya. But maybe because of the translation. So we would like to like very careful with translation. Yeah, I think you need to elaborate more on the personality to address the what aspect Also, I think also because you mentioned a lot in your background about how uh, how um, the sale uh, the sales of um, food and beverages has increased on the past few years, and also how easy for the purchase that we can make nowadays. It also could add some questions about that. It's like two or three questions like how frequent they order food online, questions like that, and how frequent they consume with any sugary beverages, um, how often they go to eat out, questions like that. You might want to consider. I think that's all. Side.
Ibu. Ya, terima kasih moderator. Ya, selamat pada Nurul Inaya. Yang Nurul Inaya ini tidak banyak briefing, yang dibimbing banyak kali data itu bukan topiknya saja. Kalau kita lebih pindah topik, kemudian yang kedua idenya apa, silahkan dia tulis. Kemudian ya memang dia sudah minta bisa enggak dalam bahasa Inggris. Terus tadi ini iya sudah lebih ke anak kita akreditasi asin terbagus. Kalau ada mahasiswa yang mau menulis dalam bahasa Inggris sangat membantu akreditasi kita. Jadi, kami ucapkan terima kasih pada Inaya karena mau menulis dalam bahasa internasional. Oke, jadi memang sudah tadi ditanyakan juga penyangga tentang dasarnya kenapa cerita Surabaya Jogja, justru disitulah sebenarnya memang dasarnya kenapa penelitian ini menjadi penting untuk dilakukan di Indonesia. Karena kalau dibaca di dalam sini bahwa kalau di Jakarta itu SMP ya, Jogja juga SMP. Surabaya itu adalah mahasiswa tingkat pertama selalu. Dia ini SMA. Dan kalau kita lihat memang dari kelompok umurnya kan beda preferensinya sehingga dia pilih itu. Tapi semuanya mengatakan kesehatan. Ya dosennya juga kesehatan. Saya juga bilang kesehatan tapi biasa prakteknya tidak di situ. Dan pernyataan-pernyataannya kita memang bisa lihat misalnya kalau di Surabaya mahasiswa dia kesehatan kemudian suasana hati dan kenyamanan. Kalau di tempat yang lain saya lihat dia tulis karena harga tentu berkaitan dengan sosial ekonomi. Makanya di sini di kuesionernya saya lihat belum baru sangat fokus pada respondennya saja. Kemudian tadi sudah sarankan harus ada karakteristik keluarga ya, supaya menggambarkan juga sosial ekonomi. Meskipun ya pendidikan pekerjaan orang tuanya. Kemudian yang kedua saya cuma minta nanti untuk kan beberapa sebenarnya dasar teori yang Anda tidak tulis di sini. Kalau tidak salah saya baca ada 5. Saya mau kemarin waktu ke konsul ada bagan, saya kasih masuk di yang pustaka. Ya, kamu akan beramal karena yang lain akan lihat oh ini ada teori ini seperti ini gambarnya. Dan orang nanti citasi itu ya kamu beramal. Ya, karena di sini cuma narasi saya tulis pada kemarin ada bagan-bagannya yang saya tampilkan waktu konsul. Ya, kemudian saya kira di kerangka konsep harus kita tulis itu, jangan cuma tulis itu food choice. Food choice dilihat dari karakteristik makanannya, dari individunya sendiri dan dari lingkungan. Karena kan itu yang mau digambarkan dan yang ya sempat barangkali itu semua dari artikel yang Anda baca yang Anda buat bisa mensintesa. Secara umum apa dasarnya dia memilih makanan tersebut. Kalau nanti Naya ini harus keluar dari aspek makanannya, apanya dominan, dari aspek lingkungan apa, dari aspek individunya apa, ya, ya kita lebih akan deskripsikan situ. Kemudian nanti dicek kembali, beberapa saya cek di yang ada daftar pustaka, ada ditulis di dalam, tapi saya lihat tidak ada daftar pustaka, mungkin ada yang ketinggalan atau apa, ya, kita cek kembali. Jadi kalau ini kuesionernya sudah sementara proses untuk analisis hasil uji coba instrumen yang digunakan. Jadi ini instrumen tadi sudah dikatakan bahwa gabungan dari ini itu harus kita tulis di dalam, ya, bahwa kita modifikasi dari tetap kita melakukan kuesioner. Apalagi kan orang lakukan pada mahasiswa, pada SMP, kita mau melakukan pada SMP. Saya kira ini penting untuk semuanya bahwa objeknya berbeda, ya instrumennya sama kita ambil harus dilakukan. Saya kira itu saja dari saya. Nanti tetap konsultasi ya Pak Amin. Silahkan diperbaiki, terutama tadi yang kita minta instrumennya tambahan karakter keluarga, kemudian nanti buat di lampiran saja, buat kita di lampiran yang mana kuesioner di situ nomor berapa yang berkaitan dengan karakteristik diri itu. Kemudian memang definisi operasionalnya belum operasional, yang tadi sudah disebutkan. Ya status gizi yang kita ukur saja. Kemudian misalnya definisi operasional tentang karakteristik makanan harus kita sebut atribut apanya yang kita menilai. Ya kembali saja lihat dari instrumennya. Sama juga masih sama antara definisi operasional untuk individu dan lingkungan, masih ada banyak yang overlap. Padahal sebenarnya beda yang berbeda. Ya.
Berarti untuk yang definisi operasional itu bisa dijabarkan sampai mendetail saja.
Ya, dijabarkan poinnya misalnya kalau yang untuk karakteristik makanan kan secara umum belum kok tulis atribut apa yang mau dinilai.
Oh iya.
Padahal banyak sekali kalau dulu. Kan sebenarnya kan filosofinya apa yang ada di definisi operasional itu yang dibuatkan kuesioner. Sekarang karena sudah ada kuesionernya, ya itu yang dikesipin dari definisi operasional. Ya, saya kira cukup dari saya.
Baik, terima kasih kepada Nutina ya.
Oh ya ini.
Kemudian bolos ya.
Ya dari sisi gue yang mendaftar.
Baik, selanjutnya pada Dr. Amin, apabila ada tanggapan terkait presentasi dari Minggu Naya, kami persilahkan.